So let me introduce myself. My name is Akshay Limhaye. I have been working with industry for since like for last 5 years. I have this relevant experience of working in Spring and Java. Spring basically Spring Boot for API development. I'm basically a backend developer. I started my career with LTTS, L&T Technology Services, and then started working with MBIDI, Mercedes-Benz Research and Development, and now I'm currently working with PayPal as SG2. So, so I have like most of the time I have worked as a backend developer. Currently, I've started learning React as well for front end. I'm mostly into backend. And today will discuss something about SQL, right? Like what is SQL, why we need SQL or databases. So we'll just understand the basics of it, how it works, how it's going to uh, retrieve or we can save data in our databases. Those things we can discuss today, right? Let's start from basic, right? What exactly is data? When I say data, right, what first thing you understand is it's some set of information, correct? What is data? It's basically some set of information. एंड नाउ डेज व्हाई वी आर लाइक टू मच लीन टुवर्ड्स डेटा कि हम लोग मतलब बहुत ज्यादा डेटा के बारे में क्यों देख रहे हैं, क्यों सोच रहे हैं कि गोपी कृष्णा agenda of meeting today's call is regarding understanding how SQL works, what is database, what things you can do or we can achieve using databases, right? So nowadays, why we are too much leaned or inclined towards data, like why we are thinking data is so important, right? तो अब you are seeing कि हर सब लोग बोल रहे हैं कि data के बारे में everyone is talking about data. So when I describe this term data, एक ही अगर हम discuss किए कि data क्या है, right? तो it's nothing but set of information, correct? अगर मैं आपको आपका if I'm asking your name, तो your name is like Gopi Krishna. So it's nothing but a data, like it's information about you. What is your age? What is your number? What is your address? That is nothing but a data, right? So now let's understand one thing. Why data is so important? Why data is so important? So I'll give one basic example, right? So if you go to some superstore, some supermarket, if you go to some supermarket, and there's a number of sections, right? If you go to a supermarket, this is a store. There are a number of sections where you have different items. Probably here you have everything related to grains. Here you have everything related to biscuits. Here you have everything related to whatever, maybe munchies, right? So now if you distinguish this data properly, then you are going to segregate both, like same type of data in different rows, right? So here, if you see, if I'm going to some supermarket, I'm buying Maggie, right? And and suppose 10 people are going to buy Maggie. After buying Maggie, they are also buying soup packets, right? So what I understand is people who are buying Maggie are also buying soup, right? So if in my superstore, if in my supermarket, if I do these things, like in this section, here I have kept Maggie. At same shelf or just below or above this shelf, I'm also keeping soup. So there are high possibilities, like if the person is buying Maggie, he'll also buy soup. Correct? This might increase my sale. So what I'm understanding, if people are buying Maggie, they are also buying soup. So what I'll do, so now I have this data, right? Out of 100 people, those who are buying Maggie, there are 60 people are also buying soup. 100 people are buying Maggie, out of which 60 are also buying soup. So if I do this, if in this same shelf, or just above below this shelf, or just nearby this shelf where Maggie is placed, if I place soup there as well, if I keep the soup packets as well, there are high chances my soup is getting sold, right? And also my sales will increase, correct? तो आई हैव दिस इंफॉर्मेशन, लाइक अगर मैं सूप रख रहा हूँ, अगर मैं मैगी रख रहा हूँ, तो उसके if I place soup beside it or somewhere nearby Maggie, my sales will also increase. So I have this data, right? So with this data, I can increase my sales, right? This is one example, like why data is important. I'll give you one more example. Let's understand now. Uh, this is our India, right? Something like this. This is our India. So now, consider 2000 or not 2000, maybe 1993. There was cyclone somewhere here. There was cyclone somewhere here, and and this cyclone later came to this part of India, Mumbai, right? Again, this cyclone came to this part of India. Again, 1997 maybe. Same cyclone came at this part of India. Again, one cyclone came this point of India. Same cyclone again came back to Mumbai, 1997. Same thing happened in 2001 as well. Cyclone came in Gujarat. It also came to Mumbai. Now, 2024, right? 2004. Again, one more cyclone came somewhere near Gujarat, Rajasthan. Now seeing previous data, like I know 1993 में 1997 2001 में जब गुजरात में साइक्लोन आया था, like during this period when the cyclone came to Gujarat, same cyclone also affected this part of India, this part of our country, correct? तो can I take some precautions? I'll say कि अगर ये time पे आ रहा है तो there might be some chances कि same cyclone will come to this part of India as well, seeing the previous history. So I have previous data, analyzing that particular data, what I'll say कि there might be some chances कि यहाँ पे भी आ सकता है. So I'll take some precautions. So what we'll do, we'll vacate the coastal areas, we'll vacate those places and tell them कि there are some chances कि cyclone will come. So now, uh, using the past data, I'm analyzing the past data and I'm trying to figure out what things might happen. Correct? So this is where data is also important. That's the reason like why everyone is talking about data. Correct? And now to store this data, we need some space. कहीं तो हमको स्टोर करना पड़ेगा डेटा, राइट? वो और वी नीड टू मैनेज दिस डेटा, सेग्रीगेट करना पड़ेगा. यू हैव टू सेग्रीगेट दोस डेटा प्रॉपरली. सो दैट इज वेयर डीबीएमएस और डेटाबेस कम्स इन पिक्चर. आर यू क्लियर कि क्या डेटा क्या है और व्हाई वी नीड टू व्हाई डेटा इज सो इम्पोर्टेंट? जस्ट बेसिक, मतलब हम लोग वट एवर वी हैव डिस्कस उसका एटलीस्ट यू हैव अंडरस्टूड 20% ऑफ इट. एनी डाउट कि व्हाई एग्जैक्टली स्टिल कंफ्यूज कि क्यों डेटा चाहिए? हाँ स्टीफन, I'm not completed teaching or discussing in Hindi. Stephen, any doubts still here? Like whatever we discuss, why data is important and how we are utilizing data. ठीक है, आगे बढ़े. Shall we proceed? चलो बढ़िया. ठीक है, now we are clear कि why we need data and why data is so important. Like everyone talks about data कि यार data ही सब है, data is the new money, right? तो अब वो क्यों है? अब वो क्यों है? Are you able to relate? Right. चलो let's discuss now. What is database and what is DBMS? ठीक है. Up now you know you have data and now that data needs to be stored somewhere in some particular manner so that you can utilize that data, right? So if you see this term database, divide this term in two subterms, data and its base. So data you already know, some set of information, and base means some place where you can store this data. Database is nothing but a place where you are going to store your data, correct? Database is nothing but a place or it's a place where you can store your data. And what DBMS is? What DBMS is? Again, if you divide this term, this is nothing but database management system. This is a definition, database management system. Now, once you have your database, you need to somehow manage that data, like how you are going to store the data, how you are going to retrieve this data. So these manipulations regarding data is done by what? Is done by DBMS, database management system. ठीक है. अब let's take one example of directory, phone directory. If you remember, like long back when we were in schools or somewhere, we used to have one phone book. Phone book होता था हम लोग के पास with a number of pages, right? A number of pages, और वो phone book में, so let me get that. Somehow, somewhat, we used to have these kind of books, right? Telephone directory होता था हम लोग के पास. So where we used to have names, right? तो ऐसा we used to have something like this, right? कि we used to have phone numbers in that directory. So what this directory is having, phone numbers of people around us or in one city, right? So इसमें what we used to have is name of that person, maybe address of that person, and his phone number, right? So can I call this as well as database? Can I call this as database? Yes. Yes, right? Because why? It's storing some information about some data. क्योंकि इसमें we are going to store some data. We are going to store here. तो यहाँ पे क्या होता था? What things used to be there in this book is name, phone number, and these things were also in some sorted orders. Let's say Abhay Mishra. Abhay Mishra. He's having some phone number 8179643216, right? Maybe Shubham. Shubham Chopre. Again 91764321, right? Ankit Mishra, maybe he'll come at top or before after this. Ankit Mishra, right? So we used to have information about these people. So we used to have information about their numbers, phone numbers. Now tell me one thing: if I want to know 764321, just one Reddy. Okay. Now if I tell you I want number of Shubham, what you'll do, you will go to this column, name ka column, you will go to this column first. Line by line, you will see ki Shubham kahan pe hai. At this point, you got, okay, Shubham is here at this point of record. Then parallelly, for this Shubham, what is the number associated with this Shubham? Then you are going to get the number 91764321, and whatever number is. So what you used to do, you used to first see name where the name of Shubham is there. Once you go to the Shubham, or again in this Shubham we have Shubham Chopra with Shubham Patil as well. When you have one more person like Shubham Chopra and Shubham Patil. So now once you have got Shubham, then you will understand ki there are multiple Shubhams, right? So what you'll do, what exactly surname you need? You need Chopra or you need Patil. So then based on what your requirement, you're going to check his surname and then you're going to get his number, right? Correct. So this is how you are going to figure out numbers in your directory, phone directory. Now let's say we had this phone directory is having maybe thousands of records, correct? Ideally, there's no situation like you're going to have some specific number of records कि 1000 ही रहेंगे या फिर 10,000 ही रहेंगे. If you say there are millions of records are there. Is it physically possible for you to search these? Let's not consider millions as well. Let's consider 1,000 records. Do you think it is sufficient enough to store thousands of record in physical format? And whenever you need some information, you're going to manually go to your name, search for this surname, and then check the phone number and then give it back, right? It's not possible. Uh, Now this is only a phone number, correct? There may be possibilities that we are going to have addresses as well, or maybe not just phone number, address, his name. Maybe we are having so much of information that won't be possible for us to fetch and give back data. That's why we are coming up with some concept called database management system, DBMS. So what this thing will do, we are going to write some program, right? Program. Database or SQL are nothing but a program, a set of information which runs based on what queries we are going to fire. So let's say here I want to find the name or get information about Shubham. So what I'll do, I'll say we'll discuss these queries, right? Don't worry if I'm writing a query and you're not understanding. This is nothing but I'm just trying to tell you what things you are going to learn. So what query I'll use here is select. I don't need number. I need entire information about Shubham. I'll say select star from what? From my phone directory. I have directory from my phone directory, right? अब what I want, if I do this, इससे क्या होगा? Select star means all. इससे क्या होगा? It's going to give all the information, all the records, whatever records are there in my directory, वो सारा दे देगा. Because I am saying select all from what? Phone directory. Now if I want some specific person, एक ही इंसान का कुछ चाहिए, तो मैं क्या करूंगा? Where, जहां पे फर्स्ट नेम, इसका कॉलम क्या है? नेम, वेयर. तो व्हाट यू यूज्ड टू डू, आपको अगर मैंने बोला है कि शुभम का इन्फॉर्मेशन निकाल, तो आप क्या करोगे? नेम पहले चेक करोगे. यू विल गो टू नेम कॉलम एंड सी शुभम कहाँ पे. सेम थिंग आई एम गोइंग टू डू हियर. सिलेक्ट स्टार फ्रॉम फोन डायरेक्टरी वेयर, जहां पे नेम इक्वल्स टू व्हाट? शुभम. करेक्ट? ऐसे करोगे आप. तो विल डिस्कस व्हाट दिस क्वेरी इज, डोंट वरी. मैं आपको बस एक ग्लिम्स दे रहा हूँ हाउ हाउ दीस थिंग्स आर वर्किंग, राइट? ठीक है. अब टू मैनेज दीज थिंग्स की मतलब हम क्वेरी फायर कर रहे हैं, टू मैनेज दीज थिंग्स की व्हेन आई एम फायरिंग अ क्वेरी, तो यू हैव टू गो टू योर डेटाबेस. डेटाबेस में जाओ और वॉट एवर क्वेरी आई एम गोइंग टू फायर, बेस्ड ऑन दैट रिजल्ट, शो दैट रिजल्ट टू मी. शो दैट रिजल्ट. ये काम कौन करेगा? डीबीएमएस का काम है ये. डेटाबेस मैनेजमेंट की वो पूरा मैनेज करेगा, हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू मैनिपुलेट दोस थिंग्स, राइट? अब यू गॉट इन बेसिक इंफॉर्मेशन और अंडरस्टैंडिंग बिटवीन व्हाट इज डेटाबेस एंड व्हाट इज डीबीएमएस. समझ रहा है डिफरेंस? डेटाबेस क्या है, डीबीएमएस क्या है? पक्का? चलिए प्रोसीड. चलो ग्रेट. लेट मी क्लियर दिस. यस यस यस, स्पीक इंग्लिश. ठीक है. अब लेट मी टेल यू व्हाट इज सिक्वल फर्स्ट. What is acha, before that, let me tell you what are different types of database management systems. So we are having different query languages to to query to database, right? तो हम लोग के पास अलग अलग वो रहता है. अच्छा, sorry, let me tell you, explain what SQL is first. So SQL is, what is SQL? It's, let's take definition and then break it and understand those things, right? SQL is nothing but structure. Okay, tell me what is SQL? Any idea? SQL का definition क्या है? Structured query language, right? अब let's break this term. ठीक है. हाँ, बस we got it. Structured query language. Perfect. बस. Hold on. Now let's break this term and understand. First thing is, whenever you are going to talk with machine, uh, or computer, there should be some language with which, because again, system is not human understandable, right? Ki if I'm telling computer ki I need information about Shubham, so give it to me. So when you're telling this, machine would understand. So there should be some specific language which machine will also understand, and we can also use that language, right? So that language is nothing but this structured query language. Hold on. Okay. So that is something but this language which we are going to use to talk with database. Structured means what? So whenever you are going to store your data, right? Whenever you are going to store your data, there should be some specific structure in which you are going to store data. अब हम लोग के phone directory में कैसा था? You were having name and you are having phone number and maybe let's consider age as well, right? हम लोग के phone directory में we used to have this kind of data stored in our phone directory, right? So if you see here, यहाँ पे एक specific structure. If you see here, we have some specific structure here. Like there should be some name, Shubham, Abhay, uh, Shamila, Harmeet, right? So we are having structure and there is specific phone number, 819-762-43217, whatever numbers are there, and age may be 20, 21, 20. 18 19, ठीक है। तो so यहाँ पे if you see we are maintaining some structure here, right? So with this structure, if I'm storing data with some structured format, we call it as SQL, structured query language. Query means the query which you are going to write, right? If I'm going to store data in some format, structured format, we are basically using SQL, structured query language. Again, if I tell you, if I'm not storing in some structure, in some particular format, if I'm not storing the data, what do we call that particular database is? NoSQL. करेक्ट, इजी है, इजी है। सिक्वल क्या होता है, राइट? सिक्वल में क्या होता है? स्ट्रक्चर्ड क्वेरी लैंग्वेज। अब अब opposite of this is non-structured. I'll not call non-structured, but it is not structured. That's why the name is no SQL. We are not following any structure or format while storing data. So basic difference क्या है SQL और NoSQL में? Structured, basic difference क्या है SQL और NoSQL में? SQL में we are going to store data in some format, some structure. NoSQL में there's no structure. अब SQL में डेटा कैसे स्टोर होता है? हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू स्टोर डेटा इन SQL इज इन टेबल फॉर्मेट। सो गिव मी एग्जांपल ऑफ NoSQL। हाँ शुभम, होल्ड ऑन, बता रहा हूँ। तो इफ यू सी SQL में हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू स्टोर डेटा इन टेबल फॉर्मेट, करेक्ट, देवर रोज एंड कॉलम्स। रोज हो गई है, कॉलम हो गई है। अब NoSQL में हम कैसे डेटा स्टोर करते हैं? इन एनी आइडिया? NoSQL में जेसन फॉर्मेट, परफेक्ट, राइट, ग्राफ्स की वैल्यू पर, करेक्ट। तो लेट मी एक्सप्लेन यू अब NoSQL में कैसे होता है। अब SQL तो आपको क्लियर हो गया कि हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू स्टोर SQL का डेटा। लेट मी कम टू न्यू पेज, लेट मी टेल यू हियर NoSQL, राइट? तो लेट्स से ठीक है, हम लोग एग्जांपल, लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल ऑफ जेसन फॉर्मेट। जेसन फॉर्मेट, वी आर गोइंग टू स्टोर डेटा इन some format called जेसन। अब लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड कि जेसन क्या होता है। व्हाट आई विल डू इज आई विल से कि अभय था, सूरज, शुभम, राइट? इसको मैंने आईडी दे दिया, मतलब जैसे whenever you enroll in some college or schools, right, तो आपको everyone has their own individual आईडी। तो लेट्स से अभय का 1 है, शुभम सूरज का 2 है, शुभम का 3 है। तो व्हाट आई विल डू, आई विल से 1, 1 के पास कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन है, आईडी 1 है, उसके पास हम इंफॉर्मेशन, ही हैज नेम, क्या है नेम? अभय। एज, क्या है एज? 22। नंबर, फोन नंबर, क्या है फोन नंबर? 8793612446 वट एवर। फिर ये हमने बताया कि 1 के पास, वी आर सेइंग कि 1 particular ID is having this information. Similarly, I'll say 2 is having some information. Don't consider it as equal to, वो equal to नहीं रहता है। This is, I'll tell you exactly what these things are. तो यहाँ पे we are going to have name सूरज। Let's say सूरज का age नहीं पता हमको, we don't have age of सूरज, so what I'll do, I'll not store age of सूरज, I'll just store number of सूरज, ठीक है? And we are having one more field, one more ID for Shubham, 3, ठीक है? अब for 3, for Shubham we don't have his maybe phone number, we have his name, maybe we are going to have his age, 1, and let's say roll number, roll number तो we have anyways used it, तो let's say one more field, probably class, कौन से class में? Let's say second year, ठीक है? Now if you see this information, अगर ये information, if you are looking into this information, तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? For ID 1, we are having age, phone number, and name. For ID 2, we just have name and phone number, but we don't have age. Age is not there, and class is not there. यहाँ पे we don't have class. And if you see this information, यहाँ पे क्या नहीं है? यहाँ पे we don't have phone number, right? Right? तो Are you able to observe some structure here कि यहाँ पे structure कोई नहीं है, like randomly you are going to store data जिसका जो what like for ID1 we have name, phone number and age, we are going to store it. We don't have class, we are not going to store class. We have age and phone name and phone number, we are going to store those things. For age and class we don't have anything, we are not storing it. So are you following any structure here? No, right? मतलब जो random information we are going to have, we are going to store it. बस. Correct? Guys, following? Are we following any structure here? No. Randomly we are storing data. अब ये data store कैसे हो रहा है? How this data is getting stored is, so there's something called key value pair, right? Key and value. Have you worked on hash maps? Aware about hash map? ठीक है, forget it. So key value pair क्या होता है? Let's say कि this is the key. Consider this is the key and this is the value associated for that key, right? Again here, this is the key, this is the value associated for that key. अब if I tell you कि आपका roll number है, आपका roll number is nothing but a key, and based on your roll number, I am going to set some information about you guys. तो आपका नाम, आपका roll number क्या रहेगा? It will be a key, and information about you will be value. ठीक है? So how we are going to store key value pair में? This is the key and this is the value. So if I need information about Shubham, I'll not get it by name. I'll say I have his roll number. I'll get that roll number 3 and get that information. So for ID 3, for key 3, I'm going to get information about that 3. हाँ, डायरेक्टरी में हम नहीं ढूंढ पाएंगे क्योंकि डायरेक्टरी स्ट्रक्चर्ड क्वेरी ना, मतलब डायरेक्टरी स्ट्रक्चर्ड वे वी आर स्टोरिंग. चाहे क्लास का रिकॉर्डिंग मिल जाएगा यूट्यूब या कहीं. हाँ यार, रिकॉर्डिंग तो मिल जाएगा आप लोग को. चलो ठीक है. क्लियर अबाउट नो सिक्वल क्या होता है, सिक्वल क्या होता है, अनदर डिफरेंस बिटवीन सिक्वल एंड नो सिक्वल. ठीक है. तो हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू स्टोर डेटा इन सिक्वल in table format. Here how you are going to store JSON, sorry, or key value pair. Correct? Guys, clear? Second difference between SQL and non-SQL. Certificate भी मिल जाएगा. You are going to get certificate for that as well. ठीक है. अब let's understand third difference. So whenever you are going, so this is SQL, right? SQL is little bit slower. This is slow when you have huge amount of data. SQL is structured query language, is basically slower. Its performance is slower when you have huge amount of data. This is little bit faster when you have huge amount of data, or vice versa, जो भी है. ठीक है. So if you're and this is again it's basically the other vice versa, other way around. So if you have low data, SQL will be faster, no SQL will be slower. So if you have huge amount of data, no SQL will be faster. Got the another difference? So if I tell you now if I tell you, so consider now you are going to design some system, right? जहाँ पे like there will be millions of records. So which database you will prefer? Like which database you are going to use for designing your system? NoSQL, right? Nishu, why SQL? Because it's fast. No, yeah, yeah. So basically, if you have why NoSQL? Because NoSQL is faster when you have huge amount of data, right? Correct. So that time you are going to use NoSQL. And okay, so Uber is one of the company which uses NoSQL for storing information about drivers or their cabs, right? All right. Got the third difference between SQL and NoSQL? First, second, third. Let's say four. Let's understand what is the fourth, not difference, but we'll take some examples, right? What are different? What are the examples of SQL? One question, major industry I uses which one? Shubham, it depends on which what product you are going to design. So it varies between company to company. Some people use SQL, some uses NoSQL. Some company uses both SQL and NoSQL. SQL for some particular storing some particular data, NoSQL for storing some particular data within same product. राइट? ठीक है, एग्जांपल्स ऑफ सिक्वल क्या क्या होता है? माई सिक्वल इज ऑल्सो सिक्वल ही, मतलब वो बस डिफरेंस है कंपनी का। माई सिक्वल कोई और कंपनी बनाती है, सिक्वल कोई और कंपनी बनाता है, राइट? माई सिक्वल और सिक्वल ये एक ही है, माई सिक्वल एंड सिक्वल इज सेम थिंग। सो व्हाट आर द एग्जांपल्स ऑफ सिक्वल? SQL again, MySQL, not SQL, MySQL, Oracle, Postgres, right? Yes, these are some of the examples of SQL. And what are the examples of NoSQL? MongoDB, mostly used database, right? Cosmos DB. Cosmos DB is specific to Azure, Microsoft Azure. It uses Cosmos DB, right? There's something called Cassandra as well. So these are the examples of NoSQL, right? HBase, Dhruv, I don't know about HBase. Maybe you can figure it out. कि HBase is SQL or NoSQL. I have not worked on it. Right. So these are the examples of SQL, and this is example of SQL. These are the examples of NoSQL. Clear about again some basics. What is different between SQL and NoSQL? Shall we proceed? Quickly tell me, then I can proceed. The way to manage data, and SQL is just a language. SQL is a way to manage data and NoSQL is collection of data. नहीं, आतिफ ऐसा नहीं है। SQL और NoSQL दोनों भी डेटा के साथ ही खेलता है। तो मैनेज मतलब हम बस क्वेरी करेंगे डेटा को। सो इफ आई डू जावा फुल स्टैक, यार ये क्वेश्चन हम बाद में लेंगे कि सो इफ आई डू फुल स्टैक डेवलपमेंट, व्हाट डेटाबेस टू चूज, मोंगोडीबी, और वो हम लोग बाद में लेते हैं, ठीक है? चलो, इफ फाइन, लेट्स प्रोसीड। ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ डेटा के लिए हम सिक्वल यूज करेंगे या नो सिक्वल? यार निशु, वही ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ डेटा रहेगा तो फास्टर हमको प्रोसेसिंग करनी पड़ेगी, उसके लिए हम नो सिक्वल यूज करेंगे। और लेट मी सी व्हाट इज नेक्स्ट। हाँ ठीक है। तो क्लियर अबाउट सिक्वल नाउ? यार, shall we proceed with what exactly now how things are there in SQL? So देखो, whenever you have some data, you are going to have few functions, like few things which you can do with data. First thing is, so there's something called, some operations are there. So there's something called CRUD operations, right? So what this CRUD is, CRUD, right? So what you can do with data is you can create data or save data. Okay, what I'll do, I'll add one information. Let's say you're going to save some phone number in your phone directory. So you're doing what? You're creating a new data, right? If you want to if you want to read, if you want to get the number of number of Shubham, right? So we are going to do what? You're going to read that data. Up, you can read that data. You can also edit his phone number. You can edit his name or whatever. So that is what? Update. You can update your data, existing data. Or if you don't want his phone number, you can simply delete it. Right? So these are the four operations what you can perform with your database. Correct? आप create कर पाओगे, you can create a record, you can read it, you can update it, you can delete it. So these are known as CRUD operations. ठीक है? Now how we are going to achieve this with database? Let's understand that. Types of SQL converted database. ठीक है? DDL, DML, DCL, DQL, TCL. All right. So, there's some definitions with which how you are going to perform operation, perform the queries, right? So there's something called DDL. I'll just write down the abbreviations, and we can discuss all of them further. DML, DCL, DQL, TCL, DQL, no, TCL, sorry. We can insert and select, so correct. So let's understand now what this is. This is nothing but data definition language. व्हाट इज दिस इज डेटा. अब bear with me, आपको नहीं समझ रहा है कि क्या हो रहा है, नो वरीज, we can discuss this. This is what data control language. Language एक ही है. There's only one language. We are trying to break those different operations of that language in different parts. DDL have voice assessment. Okay, understand. I can understand it. Okay, sir, I don't understand anything right now. हाँ Shivam, hold on, मतलब bear with me. We can discuss that. Language, transactional control language. ठीक है. We have some set of uh, एक मिनट let me. So this is data. ठीक है, चलो. Let's understand each of them. ये क्या हो रहा है कि language is same. We are just trying to segregate which type of operations you are going to perform and उससे क्या उसका let's say like how those things are performing. Let's first take DDL. What DDL is? Data definition language. Let me clear this. Data language. ठीक है. Now, if you see data definition language, इसमें if you again break this term and understand, data is nothing but same thing. Definition means क्या? We are going to define how data should look like. Correct? Key if you are trying to figure out if you are trying to set how data should look like, that is nothing but data definition language. Structure, correct? Structure. So what things can come here in DDL? Create. Now, if I am trying to create data, right? Let's say I'm trying to create CREA. I'm trying to create data. So what I'll say, key what things, what information I need is his ID. Let's say user table हमको बनाना है. So his what I need is ID. I need name. I need, okay, let's say first name I need last name, I need age, I need phone number. So when I'm trying to create new record, I'm trying to define what things I need in my table, right? हम define कर रहे हैं कि हमको कौन कौन सी चीजें हमारे टेबल में चाहिए. I'm trying to define what things I need in my table, correct? So that's the reason create is known as what? Data definition language. Describe the portion of SQL create, alter, and delete database object. हाँ, we will discuss those. Right? So now what I'm trying to define the structure of my table, how it will look like. And if I again want to edit this table, what I'll use? Alter. हम table को alter करेंगे. Alter means nothing but I'm trying to update this table. Like if I don't need uh, first name, I'll remove that. If I want to change some structure of my table, I'll use the alter query to alter these things. And drop, we have one more query called drop. These are nothing but keywords, right? These are keywords present in my data definition language, which are going to define my structure, right? So create is nothing but it's going to create my table or define the structure. Alter is going to modify my table. Drop is nothing but I'm going to drop that table entirely. मतलब I'm going to delete that table. Table ही नहीं चाहिए हमें वो. So clear about DDL, data definition language. What things come? What type of keywords come here? Create, alter, drop. Correct? अब what are data manipulation language? Manipulation में क्या होता है? Manipulation में क्या होता है? Shall I remove this if you're clear about DDL? Shall I remove this or create a new page? ठीक है. So let's understand data manipulation language. ठीक है. अब let's again understand this term manipulation. Manipulation means we are going to manipulate something in my data. We are going to change something in my data, right? uh Maneshwar Reddy drop matlab drop means I'm going to drop the table, I'm going to delete that table entirely, right? Alteration of data नहीं होगा. अब alter is basically I'm going to alter the structure of my table. I'm not trying to alter data. I'm trying to alter table का structure. That's why it comes in DDL, data definition language. Here it is known as update data DML में. ठीक है. So what things we have here? Insert, update and delete. ठीक है. So these data manipulation language works on what? It works on data level पे काम करेगा ये. If I want to insert record, पहले हमने what we have done is we have basically created structure of my table. How table is going to look like? Table का structure हमने define किया था DDL use करके. Using create table command, हमने DDL के through we have defined structure of my table. If I want to insert some record, यहाँ पे I have defined how it will look like. मतलब यहाँ पे we have ID, first name, last name, age, phone number. तो हमने using create command we have created the table. Now I want to insert some record in my table, right? तो insert के लिए insert is nothing but I'm going to add some record in my table. तो which is where these are again keywords. तो insert से क्या होगा? We are going to insert record. Sri H 21 81769 whatever number. तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? I am going to insert the record in my table. Correct? Now if I want to update this table, not table, if I want to update this data, let's say कि उसका number change हो गया. It was his number started with 8, but I was wrong. I want to update his number, so I'll use update query, update command to update his number. So his new number will be maybe starting with 76321, right? I'm going to update. I have added one more record. Let's say I have added one more record. Let's say to Sonali Gupta 281964. Yeah, take whatever. I have added one more uh, uh, row called Sonali Sharma 1816, whatever her phone number is, with at 3. Now I don't want this. I don't want this record. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to remove this from my table. Once I execute a delete command, it's going to delete this record, and my new table will look something like this. जहाँ पे we have deleted the record, right? So what we are doing here is we are playing with our data. We are inserting, we are updating, or we are deleting. Correct? So what are the keywords used in data manipulation? Manipulation means playing with data. क्या क्या हो सकता है यहाँ पे? क्या यार notes तो you won't get for this. Anyways, if you see these notes, if you read it, right, कि अगर even if I give you notes for this, you won't understand it unless and until you are going to see the video. तो data manipulation में क्या मिलेगा आपको? What things you are going to get in data manipulation? What things you can do with data? You can insert it, you can update data, or you can delete. Correct? Correct. Truncated will also come in the same thing. Difference between DDL, DML. यार DDL मतलब हमको create करना है टेबल को, define करना है. DML मतलब हमको डेटा के साथ खेलना है. So DDL focuses on what? DDL focuses on table level, and DML with what? Data level. ठीक है. Shall we proceed with DCL now? Data Control Language. अब यहाँ पे फिर अगेन कंसिडर कि क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे. कंट्रोल इज नथिंग बट वी आर ट्राइंग टू कंट्रोल आवर डेटा. कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं मतलब if I am saying if you are controlling someone, which means you are giving some permissions to him, right? So what I'll do, I can say कि who all can see this data, right? Let's say कि एक database है. We are having one database. This is the database what you have, DB, and there are 5 users. Let's say admin, master admin, user, let's say normal user, or let's say staff, and okay, let me just have 3 users, right? This is three. We just have 3 users, right? So what I'm trying to do is for master admin, I am going to grant all the access. Grant means I'm giving him permission to do whatever he want to do with the database. Also, we have admin now staff. What I'll do for staff, only going to give him read access. Like he is going to only read it. Matlab, he cannot update it or he cannot delete it, right? So we can either give permissions like so for this for staff, I'm not going to grant all the permissions. I'm just going to grant some read permission to the staff. For admin, also I'm going to grant some permission, but maybe after some time he has done some mistakes. So what I'll do, I'll revoke his permission. So I have two. I'm going in 2 ways. I'm going to control data by either giving access to him, like granting the access. I'm going to grant for him to do whatever he want, or I can invoke the access. Correct? That is how I'm going to manage or control data, to grant something, to do something, or to revoke the permissions. Right? Guys, getting this? Perfect. Well, we don't use much data control language. It's again data level thing. So either you are going to grant something or you're going to invoke something. That's it. Okay. So what keywords are here? We can either grant or revoke. Correct. What is DQL? DQL is data query language. When I say DQL, right? DQL, data query language. So I'm going to query something. Matlab, see, if there's some table, so I'm going to query the table. How you are going to query the table? Using some select command. Select. I'm going to, yeah, correct. Harshita, correct. We are going to fetch that data. How we are going to fetch that data table using the keyword called select. We'll do practical and then you'll understand that. So what keyword comes here? Select, right? Now what is transactional control? ये topic थोड़ा सा difficult है. Not difficult, but it might be some confusing to you. So TCL is nothing but transaction control language. ठीक है? Select position, selection, join, correct. Transaction में क्या होता है? You have some keywords called transaction, commit, rollback. Let me give you an example, right? Just try to understand. नहीं भी समझता है तो there's no issue. See if you are able to get it. I'll give you a basic example of transaction control language. So let's say there's a person A and person B. Person A wants to send maybe 100 bucks to person B, right? He wants to send 100 bucks, 100 rupees to person B. What usually you do in your UPI is you select his number, send. So in table, let's say this is user table or this is a wallet table, जहाँ पे you are going to store what is the wallet balance of that user, right? So in wallet table, what things you will have? You'll have ID, what user, what is the user name, like which user is that, and what is the amount. I'm giving a basic level example. तो यहाँ पे user ID, let's say this is a primary. I'll tell you what primary key is. तो एक user है, consider A, he is having 500 rupees. One more, his user, he is having maybe 400 rupees, right? So when I'm trying to send, when A is sending some 100 rupees to person B, what thing should happen here is this should get updated with new value, which is 400 and 500, correct? And There's one more table called transaction history where you're going to save transaction histories. So यहाँ पे what things will be updated? Like user A has sent money to user B, how much? 100 rupees. Correct? एक और table I'm going to add one more record. Like A is going to send 100 rupees. So I'm saving some information, right? Now consider while sending this, something went wrong. At that time, for A user, the money was debited. For A user, the money was debited, but the amount did not go to B. It was still 400, which should ideally become 500, but वो नहीं हुआ. It's still 400. Something went wrong. So we have done a transaction, we have committed something, but because something went wrong, this scenario happened. Like from A, money was debited, but it was not credited to B. Now, if something went wrong, what I'll do, I'll not complete that transaction. I'll not complete this transaction. So this will be basically ambiguity, right? कि मतलब एक से debit हुआ है, but दूसरे के पास गया ही नहीं. So the entire transaction, this entire transaction, whatever transaction has done, I'll do what? I'll roll back this transaction. So what I'll do, instead of so because money was not credited to person B, what I'll do, and it was debited from person A, what I'll do, I'll again credit that money, whatever money was there, back to person A, right? So you're going to transaction happened, you have committed something, something went wrong, you're going to roll back the transaction back. You're not going to complete that transaction, right? So that's how you're going to maintain integrity of your transactions. Just like ATM, or sometime you have seen, right? If you are using UPI, so sometime money was debited from your account, it was not credited to person B. Guys, you're able to hear me? Okay, yeah. So that happens, right? Money was debited from your account, it was not credited. So after some time, you are going to get the message like money got credited to your account back. So the transaction fails, but you're going to get back your money. So that's what rollback is. Clear? है? No issues. So what things come here? Maybe transaction, commit, and then rollback. Guys, clear? Shall we go to practical now? Guys, any doubts? Quickly tell me. Chalo. Now, let me show you how the structure of database is, right? So we have this some let's say database, right? This is nothing but our database. In database, we are having a number of tables. These are nothing but tables, right? This is what database. These are what? Tables. In tables, we are again having few more things called rows and columns. These are what? Column, and these are what? Rows, right? So this is how your database looks like. You're having entire database. In that, you're having different tables. In different tables, you're going to have columns and you're going to have rows, right? So the structure, how it looks like is this. Now, first thing is you need to create database, right? आपको database create करना पड़ेगा. So what command you have to create a database is, let's say I'm going to create one database, or let's take an example where a user is going to order food, correct? कुछ food order करेगा user. तो मेरे पास first thing is I need some uh, food, or let's say delivery database, right? Or let's not say delivery, uh, food ordering, DB, right? मेरे को एक I need one. Uh, so can we use SQL bolt com platform for the practical. Hey, I'm not aware अगर ये चलता है तो you can do it. Let me quickly check. SQL Bolt. If you are able to do this, writing SQL query, right? अच्छा हाँ, you can perform these actions. चलेगा. You can use this SQL Bolt. कहीं भी whatever you are having, right? You can use that thing. कहीं भी आपको whatever you are comfortable with, तो workbench या whatever, you can use that those things, right? ठीक है. So first thing is you need to create database, right? आपको database create करना पड़ेगा. And let's say you're ordering something, तो पहले आपको database create करना पड़ेगा. Let's say मैंने create किया था. Let me delete that and again create it. Uh, check if I have it or not. Food delivery. Acha, let me give you example here itself. If I am going to drop, if I want to delete database, what command I'm using is drop, right? Drop. What I want to drop? I want to drop database. Name of database. Delivery DB, right? ठीक है. Let me rephrase this. All right. ठीक है. So first thing, if I'm to store some information, first thing is what I'll do. I'm going to create database, right? तो command क्या है for creating database? Create database. Simple command है. What you want to do? You want to create what? Database. Name of database. Let's say food delivery DB, right? I'm going to execute this command. So if you see this, create database food delivery was executed. If I'm doing what? Which application can use this? Sorry guys, I forget to mention. So this is something called DB So it has basically multiple. Why I use this is because I work with multiple database, right? This has a number of database connections. So you can use MySQL, Postgres, MariaDB, Oracle. If you go to NoSQL, you have further. Okay, I need to download these things. So if you go to further different database, you can consume those database instead of having different workbenches. You can use this here itself. Right, so that's why I use this DB. Uh, I'm writing the name chat. DBAVER. VER. Yeah, it's available for Windows as well, right? So create database command है मेरा. I'm going to create database. If I rephrase this, right? If I rephrase this, here you should see food delivery app, food delivery DB, right? If I go to column, if I go to table, कुछ भी नहीं है वहाँ पे because we have not created any table here, right? So once we have created database, what we need to do is we need to create table, right? So so for that, what I'm going to use user table. ठीक है? User table I need to create first. So let's think कि हम लोग क्या क्या what things we can uh, uh, use in our user table. कौन कौन से things what columns we can use here. So first thing is you need ID, you need first name, let's say age and phone number. ठीक है, इतना हम लोग यूज कर सकते हैं. Can we use these things for creating table? So recording will be available. Hi, recording will be available. Masterclass complication. You're going to get certificate as well. Can I get recording? I guess recording will be there. ठीक है. ठीक है. So these are the columns which we can use, right? So uh, okay, okay. I'll write the query first, and then I'll explain you what the query what is the query, right? So for again creating table, what I'll do, I'll say create table. Acha, before that, right? So So see, there are different databases. यहाँ पे I'm having a number of database. I need to tell I need to tell my DBMS or this SQL server which database to use, right? So I have to tell my workbench like which database I am going to work with. So what I'll say, use use what? Use database. Which database? This database. I'm going to work with which database? I'm going to work with this database. So further going this, I want to tell this is a database. You have to fire the queries. Run. So it says use food delivery. Matlab basically, this is the query, and we are going to here onwards. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to tell server you have to work on this database, right? Correct. So let's proceed now. How I'm going to create table? Create simple query, simple thing. Now what you are doing? This is what? This is one of the keyword. It comes from which type of thing? DDL, right? Perfect. So create table. What table? Name of table. Let's say TBL user, right? Here I'm going to say, I'm going to tell what things I need, right? First thing is I need ID. I need, let's say, what things became first name, or let's say name itself. Uh, Name. We need age, and we need phone number. Okay. Up now, tell me one thing. What is ID? Like, what is a uh, type of ID? कि मतलब ID क्या हो सकता है? It should be number, numeric, correct? Name should be what? String, correct. Age should again be a number, right? Phone number should actually be a string. Now I'll explain you why it is string. It should not be integer, it should be string, phone number. Let me take example of one more thing called um, ठीक है, let's just forget. So now we need to define what kind of data type these things are. कि कौन से type का data है. This is nothing but ID. This is nothing but integer. This is string. This is again integer. This is again string. So I have to tell my database while creating a table what kind of data type this is, right? So there's something called data type constraints. So there's something called constraints. Let me explain you those constraints. Let me create one more. So there's something called constraints, right? Let's say we are having data type. Now, while creating a table, I need to tell my database what kind of data this particular column is going to store, right? So what different types of data types are there? Yeah, you can have, hold on. Shubham, what's wrong? Shubham Bhovard, anything wrong? All right, let's ignore. Okay. So we are having string, we are having numeric, right? You're having date and time. Okay. Now, if I say string, what things can come here? You're having going to have character, or you're going to have varchar. Let's consider. I'll explain you both, like when to use char and when to use varchar and what it is. Here you're going to have int, you're going to have float, maybe boolean. I'll explain you what bool as well. Date time comes. You're having going to have date and timestamp. Not timestamp, maybe date time. Okay. Now, whenever you're going to there's no context of using mobile number as part of calculation, so it is stored as string value. Acha, okay, fine, fine. I'll explain you why we are going to use string, that thing. So now let's consider these are the kind of data types with which we are going to use and tell our server to store that particular column is going to have this kind of data in it. So when I say char, right? Char is nothing but character, correct? And when I say varchar, it's nothing but is variable characters. So when I say char, it is nothing but a single character it will have. Let's say if I consider what can I take example for character? Uh, Gender, right? Gender could be male, female, or other, right? So instead of writing male, female, other, what I'll do, instead of doing this, what I'll do, I'll say M, I'll say F, I'll say O, correct? So what I'm trying to achieve here is I'm trying to save the space. So if I say male, each character is going to take some space, right? Can I replace this correct if can I replace, because see, we are going to have only three things, male, female, and other. So instead of this, can I use male, can I use M for male as single character, which is going to minimize or reduce my space? If I say female for female, I'll use F. For other, I'll use O. So instead of using n number of characters, I'm going to remove these characters and use only a single character. So for that, we can use char, correct? Now, if I want to store name of some person, if I want to store name, right? So can I use char there? Can I use char? No, right? Because name is going to have a number of characters. When the characters are varying, the variable characters, number of characters are variable. So that's the reason we can use varchar. Varchar. And if I say 10, so up to 10 characters I'm going to store there. So uh, I'll say AKSHAY, right? Varchar 10 or whatever varchar 100. So those number of characters you're going to store. Clear the difference between char and varchar? Like when to use char and when to use varchar? Why we are going to use char instead of varchar? It's going to save some space. I guess you might be aware about int float. Int is when you're going to store numeric values which are not decimal, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever, 10, 11, 12. Float is when you're going to have decimal values 1.2, 4.3, 9.6, or whatever. Bool is nothing but you're going to store either 0 or 1, or maybe true or false, right? Char for single letter, correct. Ritu, right. And now clear about numeric, when to use numeric. So, in what cases you can use numeric? When you're going to store age of that person, maybe total experience of that person, and what else you can use age for? Integer for salary, correct. Roll number, perfect. Right. So these are the things where you can use ID. Yeah, yeah. ID is the main, correct. And date time, right? If we want to store date of that person, like date of birth, maybe 24/12/1995 or whatever, then you're going to use date. If I want to store time as well, like what time he joined, let's say you're going to onboard to some application, that time I want to store his date and his time as well. That time I can use date time. So it's going to store 24/12/1995, and then maybe 12/36 01. If you're using 24 format, it will be it won't be AM PM, then it, or whatever, right? So if you want to store date and time, you're going to use date time there. If you correct, if you want to correct, it comes in order, right? At what time and what date he has used, he has ordered, you can use date time. Perfect. Okay, guys, clear about data types? So these are nothing but constraints as well. I'm going to add some constraints to my column saying this column should have only this kind of data. Clear? One of the constraint is data type. Understood about what is data type, what is data type now, and why we need to use this? Chalo, बढ़े आगे. ठीक है. Now can I directly create this table in this way? Do you think we will be able to create this table? Sriyaj, phone number क्यों why we don't use why we use string as a phone number is length of numeric, right? Uh, that matters. So you can phone number is int. See, Ayush, you can use integer data type as phone number, but usually why we don't use is number क्या number could be like 10 digits, or it can also be if you are going to add some uh, uh, country code or extension to that, it can go up to 15 or whatever it is. So that's the reason we use string there. It can vary, right? So that's the reason we use string there. Constant define a column, which type of data is that, right? ठीक है. Anyways, you clear about it, right? कि why we are going to use string there. You can use Bing and Ashwini, but we preferably use string there. All right. Now, do you think we are able to create a table in this way? If I execute this, it says check the manual or it gives some error, right? We need to tell what kind of data this is. We need to define what kind of data this column is going to store. This is going to store which kind of data? Correct. First, we need to define data type. What we need to use here? Int, right? What this is? Varchar. Let's say 100. What this is? Again, integer. What this is? Varchar. Let's say 10, right? Let me now try to create this table. So it says table is created. Now, if I want, see, if you see now, there's no table here, right? If I need to refresh this database once. So if you see here, TBL user date table is created, correct? Android Studio, I don't think SQL you will be able to. You can query from Android Studio, but for creating database, you won't be able to do that. So what I'll do, I'll try to show you how this table looks like. If I want to see entire structure of my table, I'll use command called describe, DESC. I want to describe what? I want to describe this table. TBL user, right? If you see this now, so we have few fields. Fields are nothing but columns. ID we have name, we have age, phone number. And what kind of data type it is? ID is what? ID is integer. This is varchar. This is int again. This is again varchar. Correct? Guys following? Just see these two fields. I'll explain you what null, key, default, extra are there. Right? So when I'm saying describe table, it's going to describe the structure of my table, how the table will look like. Right? Now, if I want to insert some data, so what we have done, we have created a table. Now I'll try to insert some data. How I'm going to insert? What is the command or keyword? Insert. Can we select a particular name? Select. I did not get insert into correct. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to insert. Insert what? I'm going to insert some data where into what? My table name. I'm trying to insert some data into my table with some fields, right? With some values. Okay. So I'll explain you this command now. This query now. So what I need to do, I want to insert something. I want to insert some data where in my table, where want to insert, I want to insert into this table. And with what values I want to insert, I'm going to write it here, right? So if I want to insert, maybe, let's say, see, these things are corresponding, right? If I'm going to write 1, comma, I'll say name is Arishita, Shita, her age is maybe 20, phone number is 875, whatever this is, right? So if I let me execute and show you. I have executed this command. So if you see this, So these values, right? These values are corresponding to our column names. These values are corresponding to our column names. Matlab, I'm having a corresponding thing. ID, for that ID, I'm going to have ID. Name, for that, I'm going to have name. For age, I'm going to have age. Phone number, I'm going to have phone number. Correct? So if I execute this command, we have inserted some record. Now, once we have inserted, what queries we have used? We have used create to create a table. We have used insert to insert some data, right? Now, if I want to see these records, what command I can use? Select, right? What I'll use, select to do what? To see the data, to read data. Select star means what? All. Star from कहाँ से हमको देखना है? From where I need to see the data? From some particular table. Which table? TBL user. Now if I execute this, it will show you record like one data is there, ID is 1, name is Harshita, age is 20, this is the phone number. Correct? Select command. If I want to select, if I want to see only name, right? Instead of star, what I'll do? I'll say select name from TBL user. It will only show you name. If I want to see everything, select star from TBL user. Okay. Now, is it clear? If I don't give anything here, it's going to be corresponding things, whatever it's there. Now, let's say I want to add only few things. Other things will be null. Some same thing, same query. Here, let me have it as 2. I want to have the name called Stephen. Stephen. Let's say we don't not going to add his number. If I execute this, let's see what happens. It says could not match the column count because we have 4 columns, but we have given only 2 values, right? So if we are going to what I if we are going to define some, not define, if you want to add some specific things, then we can use like which column should have which data. So what I'll do, I'll add here, I am going to add ID and I'm going to add name. So I'll just write it here, ID and name, right? I'm going to add ID to this thing, name to this thing. Now let me execute this. So what it says, insert data updated record 1. So data is inserted. So what I've done, if I want to modify or customize, basically, yeah. If I want to customize what data I need to add, I need to specify the column name and corresponding values to that. Now if I see this, select again star from what? TBL user. Now what do you think? How many records will be there? How many records will be there? Vanchika, why 1? Because we have already inserted Harshita's, right? So it will be 2. So it will be 2, right? We have added Harshita's as one record and now Stephen. So if I execute this, we are going to have 2 things, 2 records. One is Harshita, one is Stephen. Because we have not inserted anything for Stephen, age and phone number, those are what? Null. Correct? There's no value for those columns. If I do select name from this, what things I'm going to get? Yeah, Harshini, you can insert all values at a time. So if I execute this, I'm going to get name, Stephen, and Harshita. Correct? Clear about insert command? How you're going to insert into a table? Yes. Right. So I told you we are going to discuss something about constraints as well, right? So let's understand some constraints now. Okay. Okay, I have one example. Okay. So see, if you see this, I'm going to give a basic information how structure of how database looks like. This is a basic basic table, basic database. So we have something called users table. We have something called orders table, and user is going to have ID, full name, email, gender, date of birth, country code created at when it was created, and corresponding their data types. So here it is varchar. Don't say like why we are using varchar. It depends on developer to developer who wants to use in what format, right? And then we are going to have one more table called orders. Order is going to have order ID, who has ordered that, what is the status of that order when the order was created, and what are the order items, like order ID again, what is the product which he has ordered. It's okay. And to zoom. Is it fine now? I'm just showing you one picture how it looks like. How this is a small flow of your database design, right? Okay, right. So now we are discussing about something called constraints, right? Let's say we have already went through constraints. First one is data type. Let's say null check. Null check is again one of the constraints. So when I say constraint, right? Constraints are some restrictions which you are putting, correct? There are some constraints while doing this. That is nothing but there are some restrictions while doing this. So when I say null check, what exactly is null check? Which means, uh, let me give you some example. Uh, okay, so if you remember, right, whenever you're filling some Google form, you are having some mandatory things. Name is mandatory, your age is mandatory, maybe phone number is mandatory, email is mandatory, your last name was not mandatory, maybe your gender is not mandatory. So for these things, right? For these things, you were having some asterisks, right? Saying these are mandatory. Let's say these few fields are mandatory, which means if you pass null value there, your form will not be accepted. Correct? Guys, getting? So there are few fields which are mandatory, which means I'm going to check, I'm going to see if that particular column is null. If it is null, I'll not allow to insert that record. Yeah. Now, if you see these case, see, again, what I'll do, I'll try to describe my table, how my table is looking. So if you see this third column, null, everywhere it is null. Yes, which means this all columns can have null value, right? These all columns can have null value. Now, if I give you example, if I show you this thing here, age and phone number, have you passed for Stephen? Have you passed age and phone number for Stephen? No, right? So it allowed us to insert null value there. If I do a select star from TBL user, here it allowed us to store this null value, right? Which means null values were inserted here. So if I want to mandatory something, if I want to say every time whenever you are going to pass phone number, it should not be null. It should be mandatory for you to pass. So now while creating table, I need to tell them like whenever you're going to create, whenever you're going to insert some record to this table, you have to check for phone number. It should not be null whenever I'm going to insert some record, right? While creating, also you can alter this table and add a constraint. But I need to show you one more command called drop table. That's the reason I'm showing you creating table once again. So if I want to drop this entire table, what I'll do? What is the command? Drop table. Which table? Name of that table. Drop table, table name, right? So it says you're about to execute drop table, possible data loss. So whatever data is there, it's going to loss. I'm saying okay, fine. Now if I do select star from TBL user, this will work. What do you think? No, right? Because table is not there. It says doesn't exist. So what I'll do now, I'm again going to create same table, but just that here I'm going to say this should not be null. I'm going to say this value, this create table, to create table TBL user with these columns, with these kind of data types for these columns. But for phone number, I'm adding one more constraint called not null. And the other constraint is data type is varchar. Let's execute this command now, this table now. You have error. Maybe I need to remove this thing. Okay. So data type, what kind of data type this is, this column will have, and what is it? Constraint, right? It should not be null. Now, if I do a describe, right? I'm going to again do a describe this table. So now if you see this for phone number, null field is not allowed. No, it says no. For all these fields, yes. Why? Because we are allowing null value to store, but for phone number, we are saying no. Don't save null value. Now, if I execute this, okay, let me see if I have it. Okay, fine. Hmm, Sonali, age 20, phone number. Okay. Now, if I try to insert this record, will it allow me to insert? Yes or no? Why no? Yes, because we are going to pass everything. Ah, okay, okay. Let me get rid of this. My bad. Now, if I try to insert this thing, everything will be inserted properly, right? Now, if I again select star from here, it's going to show me this result. Same thing, whatever we did previously. Now, if I try to insert this thing, will it allow me to pass? Will it allow me to insert? No. Why no? Because we are not passing value phone number, which is not null. So if I do this, it will say you're not allowed to do. It says field phone number doesn't have default value. I'll tell you what default is. So if you're not passing anything, then you should you should set some default value. Like if I'm not passing anything, which cannot be null, so you have to set some default value. So this is the reason it will not allow us to insert. And again, I have execute this, there won't be any record here, right? So that's the reason we use not null. So we are not allowing user to insert a value for a null constraint, correct? So understood the concept of null constraint? Guys, when you need to use null, any doubts? Okay, right. Now let me tell you what is default, right? ठीक है. Why describe is important? Describe is not important. It is basically to describe your table, right? What how to comment in SQL schema for table certificate कब मिलेगा सर मिल जाएगा क्लास का मिलेगा. So describe is basically you're going to just describe the table, like what things are like how the table is, like what is the structure of table, how it looks like, right? Let me show you default constraint now. So again, same thing I'll do. I'll drop this table. So this is how you're going to comment your SQL queries. Nitya, you have to add this -FN in starting of your SQL query. Like to print the table, not print the table, structure of table. So to print the table, you're going to use select command, select query to print the table. It's going to print the table. Describe table is going to describe TBL is going to describe the table, the structure of table. Define that. हाँ, to see, खुशी, मतलब to while creating, it's going to create the structure. But if you want to see, अगर पहले ही create हो गया table, and at now consider 10-14 days back your table was created and you don't have this query, and now at present you want to see what the table looks like, ये table का structure क्या है, then that time you can use TBL structure or describe table. All right. What was the next thing? Default constraint, right? Let me drop this table. Drop table TBL user. Yes. I'll say, let me, just let me say default and create this table. Uh, okay. Now I'll do one thing and I'll explain you what I've done. Right. So, once I have dropped the table, right? Uske baad what I have done, I have set some default value for my age. I'm saying data type is integer. I'm saying add a one more constraint called default. So if I'm not going to pass age, it will take default value as 10 or whatever I have set here. Let's say I have set the default value as 18, right? Drop the table. So what I'm trying to create new table. Trying to create TBL user where I'm having these fields, and by default, if I'm not passing anything, by default the value will be 18, right? Let me create this table and show you the structure. So now if I describe the structure to you, so if you see, we have one more constraint called default where the value is 18, correct? Age will be 18 as default even if you don't pass any value, correct, Sonali? So now here, if I'm passing age as 20, it's going to take 20. Let me execute this insert query. So if I execute this, because I'm going to pass 20, it's going to take 20. But see this. But here in this case, am I passing any age here? Uh, can we write ID number? No, नहीं यार, आतिफ हम लोग का int लिखना पड़ेगा. Integer हम pass कर रहे हैं. ठीक है? So now if I'm trying to execute this, am I passing age here? No. Still it will work. It will save age for Stephen will as 18 because we have see what SQL will say. If you are able to if you can pass the age, then that's fine. We are going to use the age whatever you have passed. But if you are not going to pass age, then I'm going to set the default value as 18. So if I execute this now, am I passing age here? No, right? So what default value it will take? It's going to take 18. Let's see this. See, the default value is 18, right? Understood the default constant? Ab, when can you use default constant? Any idea? In which example you are going to use default constraint? Can you think about some example? In which case you're going to roll number के लिए नहीं, default roll number थोड़ी set होगा. For particular user address, for age, no. Timestamp, no. Like email address also no. Country also no. Salary also default address. Default value when we set value. Default value changes when we set value. हाँ, default value change होगा जब हम लोग set करेंगे तो ही. हाँ, करेक्ट. बाय डिफॉल्ट को एक मैनेजर असाइन कर सकते हैं हम उसको, तो वी कैन assign default some manager ID, right? Can use that. All right. Clear about default constraint? Shall we proceed? Join से कवर कर लूंगा, हम लोग के पास टाइम रहेगा तो मैं कवर कर लूंगा, हम लोग ऑलरेडी थोड़ा सा लेट है. Let me see what all constraints are there. ठीक है, let me check one more constraint called primary key. ये main है थोड़ा सा, तो I'll jump to my primary key directly. So now tell me one thing. Let me drop this table again. See, I'll create this table. Let me get rid of this default values. We'll discuss about primary key, which is the main thing. So if I insert Sonali here, again, I'm trying to insert one, maybe Stephen, and again, same thing, I'll insert. Now, if I try to execute this thing, right? So if you see IDs are 1, 1, right? IDs are on one. Now, do you think this? Let's consider this ID as roll number. Can two people or two students can have same roll number? No, right? So the IDs are nothing but roll number, which should be unique. Every time these values should be unique. So how do we define unique constant? So we are going to add one more constant called unique. What I'll do here, I'll say unique. I'll say this should be unique. Now if I drop this table, create again new table with unique constraint. If I try to describe this table, you will see key. There's some one more column called key, which comes as UNI, which is unique. Now if I try to insert this record, this will be inserted because the table has absolutely zero records. Now if I try to insert this as well, it will say duplicate entry for one key as user ID, because I'm trying to insert one more record with user ID as one, but it's already existing in my table. मतलब यहाँ पे पहले हमने सोनाली का रिकॉर्ड सेव किया था विद आईडी एज वन, और फिर भी हम वापस आई एम ट्राइंग टू स्टोर दिस, तो वो बोल रहा है कि यू आर नॉट एबल टू स्टोर बिकॉज आईडी के लिए हमने एक यूनिक कंस्टेंट लगाया विच शुड बी ऑलवेज यूनिक, राइट? तो इफ आई यूज टू हियर, देन इट विल अलाउ मी टू स्टोर, राइट? इफ आई डू दिस, तो हमें वो टू से स्टोर करने दिया है, ठीक है? क्लियर है? बट यूनिक कंस्टेंट क्या होता है गाइस, क्लियर है? नाउ इफ आई डू दिस, राइट, मतलब हमने यूनिक कंस्टेंट रखा है उसको, अब मैं पास ही नहीं करता हूँ वैल्यू, right? If I don't pass this thing, now if I try to store instead of Stephen, let's say uh, Sweta, right? Execute किया मैंने, it got executed. Now let's see. So here ID came as null. Do you think we should have roll number as null for any record? No, right? Although we have kept unique constant, but उसका क्या हुआ है, वो null हो गया है, मतलब ID null हुआ है. I can add not null here as well. I can say not null, which will ensure every time we should have unique value and not null value. So instead of adding two different constraints, what we do is we add primary key. We say this thing is nothing but primary key. So primary key is what? Combination of unique constraint and not null constraint. Clear है? So okay, before that, so we have learned something called unique key as well, unique constraint. And fifth one is primary key, which is what? Combination of not null and unique. मतलब 2 plus 4 जब बनता है, then that is nothing but primary key. Correct? So what I'll do, I'll again drop this table. I'll try to create one more table, same table with these constraints. Now if I describe you this table, right? So यहाँ पे instead of unique, now this is what? Primary. So if the column is unique constraint, then does it take null value too? हाँ सोनाली, अभी हमने example देखा ना, unique constraint में ही we were able to store null value. Now if I describe the table, it says primary also the null column, which was initially yes in case of unique key. Now it is null. No, now it is no, right? So primary key is what? Combination of unique key and not null constraint. Clear है? Getting, guys? Yes or no? Yes or no? Any doubts still here? Acha, let me take some doubts now if you have. Clear. Shall we proceed? All right. So now if I try to save this, right? If I try to save this, ये मेरे को insert करने देगा. Yes. Now if I use one here, it will not allow me to save. It will say duplicate entry for primary key, right? If I try to save this, चलेगा क्या ये? Yes or no? Yes or no? No, right? वो क्या बोलेगा? There's no ID default value for this. Even if I add default value, it will not work because it should always be unique. पहले इसमें अब ऐड करने देगा मुझे. First time default value whatever is there, it will allow me to add. But after that, once it is added, it won't allow me to add the same value because of unique constraint and not null constraint. Now if I do 2 here, will this allow me to insert? Yes, insert हो गया. Let's see the records. दो records आ गए. ये not null हमने constraint लगाया नहीं, इसलिए that's fine. It's still nullable, right? Definition of unique is unique, कि मतलब वो हमेशा unique रहेगा. There won't be any duplicates. Alright, और क्या था? ठीक है. अब see, every time whenever I'm trying to insert new record, right? तो मेरे को first thing what I'll have to do is I have to check my table कि latest record कौन सा है. This is the latest record. It is having ID as 2. Where when I'm trying to insert new record here, I have to do 3 and then add one more called Rashmi. Then I'll save, right? Then it will execute. But is it fine like every time I need to check what is the latest value and then know what is the next value which can come here and then increment that value of primary key and do it? No, right? तो मुझे क्या करना है? This increment of primary key should be automatic. I'll not pass value for primary key. It should be auto incremented. तो मैं क्या बताऊंगा कि primary key लगा, along with that use this auto increment. एक मिनट. तो what I'll do, I'll say this thing should be increment. Let me try to execute. Not sure why it is not taking that. Auto increment. mm, Or do I need to write it here? So comma after increment. नहीं, I guess कुछ गड़बड़ कर रहा हूँ मैं. It's not that. Auto increment. नहीं. I think I need to write it here somewhere as ID. या फिर what I'll do, I'll say तो प्राइमरी के बाद का कॉमा रिमूव करो सर. नहीं तो टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट, राइट? एक मिनट, होल्ड ऑन. And here I'll say IDS primary key. Uh, Thanks sir. Use this. ठीक है. So underscore मतलब that's a single keyword, right? So I was using auto slash increment space increment. So what we are doing here is we are telling this primary key should be auto increment. I'll not add a new ID every time. You auto increment whatever it was existing, right? So even if I describe this TBL user, तो यहाँ पे we have one thing called extra which is auto incremented. Primary key हो गया ID, not null हो गया ID, and it should be auto incremented. Now I didn't need to pass this thing. Or hold on, yeah, that's the reason. तो अभी इसमें क्या होता है? Now what thing happens here is it initially you need to tell SQL from which ID it should increment. So if I don't pass, it won't work. First thing is I need to start the auto incrementing from ID as 1. What happened? We have error at line 2. Insert into, okay, comma. So you need to tell your server from what number it should auto increment. So if I'm giving 1, and now I don't need to pass anything here. If I show you the records, total records, यहाँ पे 1 आ गया, Sonali, age and phone number. Now here I'm not passing anything, right? Here I don't need to pass anything. I'll have to pass only name and say insert this value. So it will be inserted in my record, but now what do you think the ID of Rashmi will be? 2, right? So if I see this, it has auto incremented. We are not doing anything. We are not incrementing it. So why we are using multiple insert commands? Multiple is to show the difference, right? In single command you can insert multiple records, but I'm having different constraints for different records, right? So if I try to save Sweta now, will it work? Yes. Now what will be the ID for this? 3. Now what we are doing, we are auto incrementing the ID. Now let me drop the table again, create the same table. Now what I'll do, I need to start my records from not 1, from 10. So first record will be created at index as 10. If I show you the records, ID is 1. Now what do you think the next record will be? The ID of Rashmi will be what? I executed, let's see. What it is? 1, 11. So after 10, it went to 11. Now if I execute this, it will again be what? 12. Right? So first time you need to give what will be the first ID from where it need to auto increment. Correct? Clear about primary key now? Yes. Foreign key का time नहीं है हमारे पास, but let me explain you what it is. ठीक है? Uh, ठीक है. Let me tell you कि when we need to use the foreign key, right? तो let's say user table है, having user ID, UID, first name, age, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ayush, Dhruv, Shubham, Sonali, Varun. ठीक है? Age maybe 20, 21, 22, 21, 18, 19. ठीक है? These are the tables what we have, and you guys are ordering some food. Order. तो हर एक का एक order ID रहेगा. Every order will have one order ID. So let me take one more name called, let's say, Shubham again. His age is 25. So order table will have order ID. Let's say price. Let's say item, price, and user who has ordered this. So let's say we are having few orders. Item is maybe pizza, burger, pizza again, uh, pasta, biryani, uh, thali, sandwich. ठीक है? Prices are maybe 10, 20, 30, 40 or whatever. These are the prices, right? So, and consider Ayush has ordered this, Dhruv has ordered this, Shubham has ordered this. Not sorry, right names, right? So let's say Ayush, Dhruv, Shubham, 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 Varun, Sonali. Now tell me one thing. If I want to see what has Shubham ordered, right? So what you'll do, you'll go to order table. You will see user as Shubham 1, 2, 3. So you have got three Shubhams who has ordered pizza, pasta, and biryani. Will you understand which Shubham has ordered what? No, right? Because if you see user table, here you have two different users. One is user Shubham B, one is Shubham L, right? So you don't have which Shubham has ordered what based on these things. So what you'll do, instead of writing names there, instead of writing names, what you'll do, you will write user ID there. User ID 1, 2. What is the user ID of Shubham B? It's 3. So Shubham B has ordered this thing, and Shubham L has ordered these two things. 6, 6. What is the ID for Varun? It's 5. What is the order for Sonali? It's 4. Right? So now if I tell you, okay, Shubham 3 is having age as 22, and Shubham is having age as, let's say, 30 or 30, 31. So I want to understand who all are there who's having age more greater than 31, who's having age greater than 31. I want to know कि 30 के आगे के लोग क्या ऑर्डर कर रहे हैं. I want to understand what kind of items people are ordering who's having age greater than 31. So what I'll do, I'll go to my order table. I'll see, uh, first of all, I'll get Shubham का data. ठीक है? I'll see कि Shubham is ordering these two things. So I'll go to my user table again. I'll see कि 6 is there, right? 6 is, maybe I'll see कि who is frequently ordering. Frequently ordering कैसे पता चलेगा? If you are going to have multiple user IDs here, तो मुझे पता चलेगा कि that person is frequently ordering. So if you see this data, right? In this data, if you can you figure out कि who is frequently ordering food? ये data से how you are going to figure out based on user ID? If this user ID is repeating, if the count is more than one, which means this person has ordered 2 times. Now I want to know who is this person. What I'll do, I'll take his ID. I'll take his ID, user ID. I'll go to my user table. I'll check his ID, this. I'll check Shubham L. So I'll understand his age is 31. And maybe for further more information, if I have maybe phone number or address, I'll get Shubham is the person who is frequently ordering. So there may be chances tomorrow also, if I push some notification to his mobile, he'll order again. Correct? Guys, getting this? थोड़ा सा complicated है समझने में, but आ रहा है क्या समझ में? At least 30% समझे आपको? So if you want to see key who is your potential candidate who can order, what you will do? You will go to your order table. You will go to your order table. You will see who is the person who is frequently ordering. Based on this data, you have got user 6. He's frequently ordering. So using this 6 ID, I'll go to my user table. I'll see this 6 is there. He is ordering. So my target audience is Shubham L, who can order multiple times. So what I'm doing here is this, I'm adding one more ID to this table called order ID, where this order ID will be primary key and this user ID will be what? Foreign key. Because it's a key coming from foreign table. And foreign key, whatever ID these are primary key to my user table. This is primary key, correct? Now, if I want to fetch information of another table, if I'm having order table, अब order table में से if I want to fetch some other table का information, and this table is having one key called foreign key, I'll take that foreign key, go to my foreign table, user table, and see where is the primary key for that particular key, which is 6 and Shubham. I'll get his information. At least you have got like 50% of foreign key. What is foreign key? Foreign key is nothing but a key which is present in table. That key is a primary key to the foreign table. Mapping रहेगा उसका. Guys getting? No. अब if you see this consider this design, right? User table है आपके पास. You have got user table. You have got user table, right? अब user table का जो primary key है, this is nothing but primary key. Primary key है. This primary key is nothing but this is the primary key for user table, And what we have done is we have one more table called order table. For order table, you have added one more column called user ID, which is foreign key. This is what? Foreign key. Foreign key. This is what? Primary key. And now, if you are at this table, right? Order item. Here you will see key. Let's say key you are going to have order ID as 4, right? Now I want to know information like who has ordered this fourth item, fourth order ID from primary key. You are going to go to order table. You are going to see this is the four column. I'll see for this four user ID is this. I'll go to this user ID from this row. I'm going to go to this table. I'm going to get information about this person who has ordered 4 order ID. थोड़ा difficult है. Maybe once you start working on it, you will understand that. Guys, at least you have got basics of SQL. What is SQL? What is SQL? What is NoSQL? What are the constraints? So is user ID primary key for? No, no. User ID is foreign key for order table. Order ID is primary key for order table. Now clear about कि DDL क्या होता है, DML क्या होता है, DCL क्या होता है. DCL तो हम use नहीं किए, but DQL we have used क्या होता है, right? Or what else we have discussed? SQL, NoSQL, database, and these constraints, right? Let me stop sharing now. All right. Are we good, guys? At least you have got like 60% of whatever we have discussed. Once you start working on it, right? तो वो practice करते करते आ जाएगी आपकी queries. How do you do it? And okay. Yeah, guys, we have this masterclass form as well, right? You can fill this form and give some feedbacks, like how was the class. So now, yeah, we are already running out of time. So joins के लिए maybe we don't have time. MySQL भी मतलब SQL ही यार मतलब वो it's again similar to Postgres, MySQL, SQL, MS SQL. तो वो SQL ही है. So if I do Java full stack, please upload it on YouTube. Yeah, Mohammed, Atif will do that. Neeraj, you can start with SQL, MySQL, anything is fine. You can also join this Telegram group, which is pinged in chat, right? So we do have few full stack and data science courses as well. You can go to Geekster website and check those courses. Link is there uh, in chat, right? So you can apply if you want to see those things. You can go through it. Guys, you will get certificate on your emails, right? Chalo, bye bye. Good afternoon. Enjoy your weekend.